whether he feels is convinced. And so it's a major discussion for me. I want to learn. I really want to. I want to hear something, and I know that you as well want to learn. You want to know what these guys know, and thank God for their hearts. I want to start introducing my friend Henry Dachumo. We date way back from Tech. He's my senior actually, but he's like a brother to me. I mean, all my songs, everything. Apart from his wife, is mine. He's everything to me. I mean, I share my dreams. He's so gifted. He's so humble and a solid team player. That's one thing I like about Bludo. A solid team player. He's not self-centered. I mean, when I met Bludo on campus, Bethel Revival. He is superb music director. He's brought out many concerts to his credits. I can go on and on, but his own concerts, which is Bethel Revival Choir, has been phenomenal in this country. It's just been something else. Their songs are all over, and they are blessing and taking the ever language beyond the borders of Ghana. And we used not to hear ever language till the, ever songs so strong in the contemporary sense, but he has championed this cause. He's our director for tonight. He's going to be speaking, and also he has a liberty to also ask questions from the other guests. Bludo from my screen is Bludo. Bludo is somebody I love so much and respect. When I met Bludo on campus, I'm like, who is this? He's always playing drums on every program. What is this? And I used not to understand why he's on every program. Every program he is playing. And he would leave campus and come to Accra for programs and come back the next day for lectures. And he's been doing this all his life. And God has really lifted him up. He plays steadily. He's so gifted. He's so humble and a solid team player. That's one thing I like about Bludo. A solid team player. He's not self-centered. He goes with the flow and all that. We know him to be the main drummer for our brother Joe Metal. Today he's going to be our guest, and he's come on board as a drummer. He's going to help us to understand the subject. And then I have Bheka Ntetwa. Bheka, all the way from South Africa. Bheka has become a brother, a cousin to ICGC since then. We're trying to find him a wife, but he told us that he's fine. So we won't worry him again. We wanted him to be a Ghanaian thoroughly. We love him, the teacher. He's a teacher. Yeah, you'll be surprised when he starts teaching. The day I saw Bheka teaching at Christ Temple, I was like, this guy knows his stuff. He's so loaded, huh? He plays on every gig in South Africa, big gigs, and he has his own album, The Supernal Sound. Earlier on, you listened to him. Bheka, you're welcome once again to the Music Bridge. And next is Jazzy production actors. This was here. Yeah. One of the mark of Ima is that when you watch Ima, for me, when I watch him every time he comes for Greater Works with Pastor Nathaniel, he just, I don't know how he does it, but he's so sensitive to the move and where Pastor Nat wants to go, and always on point. One day I got to know that he's always mixing on his keyboard all kinds of tones to give us all that we hear. There's no stems attached to it. And so gifted, so skillful, but he knows how to really allow the Spirit to take over and follow his leader. It's one of the reasons why I brought him here. to help us to understand how do we approach church music. So, gentlemen, you are all welcome to the music bridge.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. So, Bludo, please tell us more, when we mention production, what are we talking about?
Yeah, I think basically when you say production is the steps that we go through in order to put the song or the music together in terms of rhythm, harmony, melody, and all that coming together, then you have a song. So when you go through all that process, then you are embarking on a production. Yeah.
Okay. I'll hear all of you, your thought on this same question before we proceed. Let me hear from you, Ima. When we mention production, what comes to mind?
Okay, when we make mention of production, the way I see it is like this. Someone goes to the market to get all the ingredients and to cook.
Okay. Ima's lines.
In the line is slow.
Yeah.
But can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Yeah, Emmanuel, can hear you.
Yeah. What I understand about production is someone going to the market, going to buy food stuff for everybody to eat, meaning going to buy, like, get the read.
Okay.
The balancing of the music, the balancing of the music, the right sound to use for the song, the right people to play on the song. And then when we are done cooking the music, done doing all of that, we now dish it out for everybody to eat. That's how I see production.
Okay, so who is coming for dinner tonight? That's the question. And how do we, what are we cooking? Harry, Natural, when we mention production, what comes to mind?
For me, I see production more like packaging. Okay, you have something written, melody, harmony, and all that. Aside that, you have various resources you are using, singers, instrumentalists, and all that. You are trying to see how you can blend everything together and be able to package it a particular way for that person you want to give it to. So production basically is just like cooking, like all these things. You're trying to put something together a particular way for someone, a thought, an idea. Putting together
you have something in mind for somebody, and you gather the resource to produce that. Awesome. Bheka, production. What comes to mind, sir? Oh, where's Bheka?
You have to unmute your mic.
Okay, please unmute your mic, Bheka.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm good now. Can you guys hear me?
Hey.
Yeah.
Salvana.
Salvana, what you say? How you doing, everybody?
At the same.
Good.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, let me right straight to it. My answer is not different from my fellow brothers, and I appreciate it. It's good to be here. Thanks, Pastor Edwin, and thanks to everyone who's logged in tonight, and to all you gentlemen. I respect you all. And music production for me is not a different answer. Like I said, it's basically more like a process of constructing music together for a certain purpose. My brothers touched on certain products that you prepare for certain markets, which is exactly what music production is. It's basically an expression of the creative and artistic development of the music, both. It could be in studio, it could be live, it could be in your room while you are writing music from scratch. It's all part of the production, because composition is one of the key components of the music production. And traditionally it's more like a recording, and for a certain specific outputs. And then it's what we do as well in churches when we put music together, whether it's writing during rehearsals, preparing music for the congregations and for everyone that will eventually listen to the music and consume it, and so that it soothes their souls and it edifies them to praise and worship the Lord even more. Yeah. So basically, in a nutshell, that's what music production is.
When we come to church music, do we need production? Must church music be a production? Or I thought that we should just go into church and Charlie move. Bheka.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I think it is production. I think we probably should agree that even jumping could be some sort of music production, because you're jumping in a certain setup.
Yeah.
you're jumping to a rhythm, which is one of the key elements of the music. And when we talk about music production, rhythm is one of the greatest elements that we all need, especially as Africans. So certainly in churches, we do need production. We do need to put music together so that when we present our praise, when we present our worship, it's sounding together as a unit. It's sounding together as something that can usher people into God's presence with excellence, because that's what we're trying to achieve at all times, so that you may sound excellent and excellent praise.
In view of that, Eric, do we have to be particular who plays in church? If the person is not production minded, does it matter?
Oh yeah, is it? For me, production is really about planning. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Production is about planning. So as long as you want to plan whatever you want to do in church, you're already starting something to do with. And one of the processes in production, And so for me, if I want to plan to do this particular song in church, and I think that Google might be able to bring it out the right way, based on the amount of vocabulary he has in that line, okay? And I have another bassist who is also very good, but his thought line might be a little different, and I feel I want to bring it out this way with Google. I'd rather Google plays, not because it's my favorite necessarily, but because what I want to give out to people probably has to do with, let's say, Zouk, and who can go to express Zouk well in line with what I'm doing. I think the choice of whoever plays becomes an issue to consider.
Henry, if my question is in the context of church, are you suggesting that you bring different basses to come and play if you want to be very production minded in church? I'm talking about church.
Well, again, it comes down to the choices you have. I mean, first I was thinking generally, but if church, that's the only business you have, and then it means you have to want that thing the way you want. Or you try to arrange the music in such a way that he will be able to fit in well with his limitations, Yeah. And then you see, you're really open to anything. And then the person sitting down is not aware of exactly what you are bringing. It's about what you want to put together. I mean, in my choir, I know who is weak when it comes to the altos. I know who is weak when it comes to sopranos. I know who can do what. You understand? It's a mix. Yeah. So at the end of the day, I can still play around who I have to produce what I want, or I can bring it down to a level which will still be a nice production, all right, but the person is able to handle it the way he has to go, and then we go.
Thank you. Bludo, you mentioned in your first submission about rhythm, harmony, and production. Let's talk about rhythm. What is the purpose of rhythm? What does rhythm do in our church setting? Sometimes, and I'm sure my brother Jesse is here. Jesse is our church drummer, and everybody knows how much me and Jesse we fight. I'll tell drummers that maybe you have no idea what the cymbals does to the worship leader or what it does to God, or what it's doing. Tell us, can you just educate us? The cymbal as we see it, some people call it ajas. It is what brings you money.
Ajas.
Yes. For you, ajas is like a term that makes it look like it's just some, lids of saucepans that you are just putting together. But it's a very powerful instrument. Tell us, educate us on the drum before we go to why and what it does for production.
Okay. I think the drummer, first of all, your work is to keep time. You are like the heartbeat of the music. And I also refer to the drummer as the person who carries the groove of the music.
The groove.
Yeah. The groove or the feel of the song. And in that light too, I think the drummer also carries the energy of the music in terms of drive. In answering the first question you asked Emmanuel as well, I think in production, in church music in general, there should be a production to the songs, because I think there's beauty in orderliness. When things are in order, there's beauty. There's beauty to that, and it appeals to people who are listening to it as well.
Beauty in orderliness.
Yeah.
Nice. So I'm very keen on my second question. I will say it again.
Okay.
What is the essence of 3 toms or 2 toms? What is it doing? What is the essence of these plenty metals behind you? Each of them, at what point because the music director is here and he has a beef with his drummer. The drummer is making us buy all sorts of metals. And chime. So please educate us, please, from one set.
Okay.
Again, we'll be very glad.
Like I have behind me my kit with a lot of cymbals behind me. Each of them has a specific function. You have your crash cymbals, you have your ride cymbals, and you have your splash cymbals, you have your effect cymbals, you have your China. There are a lot of them. Now we have the stack. They call them that. Now we have the stack cymbals. They stack 2 or they put 2 cymbals together to create a particular sound. And each of them is used for something different. Like the names of them are different, and so it implies that their roles are also different. For instance, you have a crash, which the resonance of the crash is, when you hit it, it resonates for a long period of time before the resonance come to an end. But when you hit the splash, the resonance is just sharp. The sound is sharp, so you can use the splash on sharp syncopations and all that, and it won't interfere with the music. And when you need that long resonance, you can use your crashes. Then you have your ride, which is also performing another function. So I think when the drummer is requesting for a lot of cymbals in church, he can crash or a splash as a crash. So I mean, they all perform different functions.
Okay. Please, let's go to the toms.
Yeah, with the toms as well. Different functions. I would not only say I'm using my toms to play fields, because now I might have a groove that I'm just using my toms for. So having toms in your setup as well gives you option of sound. So I think that's with the tom as well. We can use it for our grooves and we can use it for our feels as well.
I'm asking this question because they say we watch video and people are using just one tom, and sometimes even none. And in some places they are using like 6 toms or 3 or some others. And a basic drummer must understand these things. That's why I'm asking. Let me go to.
Okay.
Let me go to.
Yeah. Let me chip in one thing before.
Okay.
I think the choice of whether to use 1 tom or 2 toms is informed by the genre of music we are playing. If I'm playing a rock song that needs not too much of the toms, then I don't need a lot of toms. So I think the genre of the song informs the setup you need for.
And here is the case in our church. We do all kinds of genres. We do a lot of genres. So you expect that if my drummer is playing per the song, he doesn't approach all the songs with the 2 toms sitting in front of him, Abby.
Yeah, because they are different genres, so it needs more options.
Great. Thanks. Thank you. Let me go to Emma. Emma, we just want to understand the instrument we use in church, the keyboards. What are what is the essence of the keyboard and what does it do in the production?
Well, for the keyboard, the work of the keyboard is to establish an atmosphere which helps both them for the other musicians to also keep them be on the same page, meaning playing on the same key, same progression and stuff. And then for the singers, like helping the singer, for example, you can get on stage now and then you don't know what to sing. And then the keyboard player gets on the keyboard and start, for example, start playing marimba, start playing, it will throw you off. You would never know what to do. It will look like this are Nigerian home movie, our Nollywood action movies where you hear some marimba.
It means the fetish priest is coming. We are going to the bush.
Yeah. So it is for the keyboard. That's why I encourage keyboard players to always spend time with their keyboards. Meaning you have to. The keyboard was not meant for you to just play just piano, strings, pad.
God bless you.
That's all.
God bless you. I'll send you Momo this evening. I'll send you Momo. If you know Momo in Ghana, I'll send you Momo. The keyboard said that
other things you can also do too.
Thank you.
There are other tones too you can also get from the keyboard. Like for example, when I'm playing, because I'm very used to motive, so and then because I play a lot with Nathaniel, so I restrict some of my sounds to Nathaniel. Sometimes I infuse some other things too. So people would never he's just playing the keyboard and I can hear everything, but they don't know at some point in time I change the tone to something else and I get back. Sometimes I save my tone because as the process as we go on with the process, I keep on changing some stuff. I add some stuff, I take it out, I bring back what I was playing before, because I do that just to help build the atmosphere, just to help whoever is singing.
Let me take you on that. So, and I know all these things Brother Ima is saying, I know my other guests can speak to, but I just want to pick him for the keyboard. So, Ima, you were saying that as you play for Nathaniel, maybe let's say the first 2 songs, you are using a particular sound. As we progress, you begin to change the sound.
Yes.
To fit the atmosphere you are looking for.
after changing the sound, I still go back to what I started with. Meaning that, okay, because I use a particular sound, I changed the particular sound, doesn't mean I have to stay there forever. Because I've been able to train myself to, in a particular way that I can understand a mood, like I can understand, okay, this is where I'm supposed to change to this particular tone. Okay, this is where I have to use synth brass here because of the energy of the song. If the song has a lot of energy, I have to use like some synth brass. I have to use strings, synth brass, like I have to combine them. Then I need to know how to place the volumes because each of them cannot use the same volume. Never do that if you're a keyboard player. Never use the same volume for all your tones you've selected. Some of them can be higher at a particular place. Some of them can come down. Then when the music suddenly breaks, and then you start going into the slow worship moments, that's the best time. In fact, that moment, I tend not to use synth brass anymore. I just switch immediately. I have to quickly do it like fast. There's no time. Because once you mess up the atmosphere, you're messing up everything for the artist or for the worship leader. So understanding the keyboard you're using, understanding the atmosphere, understanding your tones matters. It goes a long way. It goes a long way.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
much.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. Bheka, I'll come to Henry. Bheka, please educate us on the bass, the role of the bass, what it represents, and how it should complement the whole band in production.
The bass has two basic roles. It's holding two most key elements of the music. First one is rhythmic. Second one is harmonic. The bass has to hold the rhythm. It has to hold the pulse as much as a drummer or percussionist does. Bass has to hold the rhythm. It has to lock with the feel of the song. And also, while doing that, it must complement the progression of a song. So, because bass, you can be rhythmic, you can play ghost notes, you can play anything that is rhythmic, but while also just you have ringing notes that must be heard, because the bass actually defines the harmony, because we hear every chord quality relative to the lowest sounding pitch, which is the root note, which is the bass note. You can tell when the pianist is playing alone, when the keyboard player is playing alone, they usually play root notes on the left, so that there is some bass direction that defines the song, that defines the direction of the song. So bass holds two basic roles, which is rhythm. It must hold rhythm, and it must hold the pocket of the song, and a nice ease groove into the song, so that everyone feels comfortable and So hear me?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. I had Siri in the background disturbing. So yeah. So I'm still explaining the role of the bass. So while we usually do, I know the bass playing, traditionally is just to hold that note, change a note to another. But what we do, you instrument the chords by playing, by playing chords ourselves. you can do it whether you're improvising within that chord progression, so that harmonically you understand what is happening, and then rhythmically you don't fall off. You go back to the downbeat with the drama, so that the music sounds together like this as a unit, and everything else that is happening around is complemented nicely, and the carpet is laid down by the bass roots and the bass line that the bass player is carrying. Yeah, so basically that's the role of the bass guitar: rhythm and harmony.
Yeah. Rhythm and harmony. Yeah. Thank you for educating us on that. Dashab, you as the music director, how does this come to you? How do you bind all these elements of music and the instrumentation or instrumentalist as a director, coupled with directing the choir?
Okay, so basically, all the things our brothers have been talking about comes together in the particular process in production we call the arrangement. Okay, arranging. And when it comes to arranging, it means you're trying to decide on which instrument plays when it has to play, and play what it has to play. You understand? I mean, every song you listen to, something probably plays throughout. Something would have to come in somewhere and go out somewhere, or probably go lower in volume somewhere. Another thing, probably when it gets to, let's say, an interlude, a lead synth or a guitar or something supposed to come out, do what it has to do, and go back. Every instrument has a particular place along the entire timeline of the song to do what it has to do. You understand? We can pick them one by one. The drum or the rhythm section probably would play throughout. Sometimes it might not even play throughout. We have a lot of songs where for the next 1 minute, there's nothing sounding. I mean, there's no in there. And then it comes out probably on the second verse or something. There's a time when you probably just have a hi-hat or a loop playing for quite some time before probably a rhythm section comes in, maybe just a kick, nothing else plays. So sometime when a set is introduced, or probably even a rim shot, the song gets hotter, it becomes a snare. I mean, if Bludo would agree with me, it gets to a point, you need it to be hotter, probably you start bringing in rights and all that. So every single thing in there, it's appointed to do something where it has to, based on the plan you have for your music. You pick the piano, same thing, or let's say the keyboards. I mean, these days, our keyboards do a lot, right? I mean, from playing piano to bass to orchestration to all the same stuff you can think of. But they all have a place in there. So now for the music director, you are deciding on who plays when along. And that can really change. You are free to do whatever you want, but then you want to build the music a particular way, you have to tell the story a particular way. You know. So when you pick any song and you start listening to what's happening in there, you realize that each instrument has been assigned to play at a point. When I mean instruments, I'm bringing everything, including the vocals. You know. So it means that the director or the music director, one needs to have a very good idea of what he wants to do. Two, such a person should have a very wide vocabulary, really understand. So much in various types of genres and all that. And then most importantly, the person needs to understand, even if it's just a general idea of how each instrument functions. You understand? You need to understand how each instrument functions and what it does and why it does that. That's the only way you can be able to do what? Place it where you need to place it to bring out the idea you want to bring out. Okay. And so for the director, I just bring and everybody comes in to do something when he has to. It's very clear when you're actually tracking on the PC. You see everyone doing something when he has to do, you know. And it's the same thing in live play, actually.
In live production. So we in church we are looking at live production. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the music bridge. I want to quickly defer to my participants and audience here to ask questions, because I know there are many instrumentalists on this platform now listening to you guys. So I'm going to probably ask my last question. I have a lot of questions, but for me now, I want to allow them to engage us with questions. So get ready. If you have questions, please and quickly show by your blue hands, like we always do on this platform. Show it quickly. We'll take 3 questions, and then they would answer, and we'll go on with the questions. So I'm going to ask my last question for this session. If you have questions, please raise up your hands and let's go quickly. I want to see about 7 hands to 10 hands raised so that I can go quickly. If you have questions, we have like close to about 45 minutes of asking questions. So show by hands. Remember that when you are about to speak, make sure your environment is very, very quiet, so we don't have disturbance, and you have to tell us where you are speaking from. Thank you very much. So we are talking about live production. I want to ask each of you, Bludo, from I call you Apostle. You're a son of where you sit from concert to church, especially church. Let's deal with church, because I have pastors who, mind you, they are pastors here who don't have very big churches, but they have efficient, instrumentalists. They have a very strong church presence, in their community. People look up to them, but they want to up their game. Yeah. What do you see as the problem as a drummer? Let's say from your perspective, about 5, or let's say about 3 problems that you see when you go to church in terms of drumming, and give us, your solution to it. It applies to Bheka, it applies to Emma and Henry.
Yeah, I think when it comes to drumming, the first thing I'll mention is your sound. The sound of the drum, how loud it is or how soft it is, because depending on your auditorium, if the place is small, there's a way you have to play. I've played in a church that has like more than half of the population being above a certain age. It's like most of them are aged, and you have to take that into consideration if you are playing as a drummer in that church, because it's going to be a nuisance if you are playing a certain energy in that church. So first of all, you should take, whether it's a youthful church or it's an elderly church, it will inform the way you play as a drummer in the church. And I think as a drummer also, you need to expand your vocabulary, because we don't play one genre in church. There are a lot of genres being played in church, and therefore you need to be informed on all the genres.
You're giving me to last one.
Well, okay, the other thing I'll add is that now most of our music in church is with sequences and loops and all that. So as a drummer, you need to really know how to work with a click and a metronome, because the modern church is moving into that direction. Yeah. So you need to really prepare yourself on how to work with a click and a metronome.
Thank you. As much as I know, a lot of pastors are encouraging pre-recordings, and are now beginning to they are now being introduced to the word stems. They thought it was just a part of a tree, but now they are beginning to understand that stems is coming to church. Stems, because where we are going to, we are going somewhere else. You are going somewhere else, and pastors are making certain demands, because now we are seeing the power of the virtual church, and so things are not going to be, when we return, things are not going to be as smooth, or not as smooth, are not going to be just the same way as they have been. Thanks for telling us that. I'm sure questions would elicit some of the things. Let me go to Bheka, when it comes to Bheka church, 3 things you see is a challenge when you go, when you observe church play. So, and you as a production guy, what are the advice you would give?
Okay. The first challenge that I always see is lack of preparedness.
Lack of preparedness.
Production. Yeah, lack of preparedness. We go to the podium unprepared. Basking praise and worship, and everyone sings all over the place. Everyone plays all over the place, and which can be rectified by instilling discipline in rehearsals and making sure that songs are prepared in advance. And you just touched on stems, which is very key now, because it helps you stick to the arrangement, and it helps the sound of the worship team or the group that is singing in front. It helps expand it and makes it fit and sound more present. I think that's a solution to it. We should make sure that we set aside time to practice and make sure that we are prepared. Secondly, bass players and other instrumentalists, they play for themselves. They play to please themselves. They don't play to sound good as a unit, and as people who present excellence, and people that have a mind to really sound good for the Lord. So I think we should have an understanding, have a purpose, rather have an understanding of the vision and purpose of what we do. We should actually know what the church music production is for and whose it is for. The last one is most church musicians. If I say musicians, I include singers as well. Instrument players and singers. We don't have much vocab. Bludo touched on vocab. Music vocab is very key, because as a bass player, I need to know harmony. I need to know chord progressions. I need to understand keys. I need to understand the changes of the song so that I can always stay relevant. Relevant in the song, relevant, in the playing generally, as an individual, and also so that I complement everyone else that is singing within a specific arrangement of a song, within specific progression of a song, so that we sound together all the time. So I want to challenge, and I want to advise all our church musicians to just read about harmony, and just check other guys. You can also YouTube how rhythmic elements, harmonic elements, and all the other key elements of the music, so that you can stay relevant, and so that you can always be of fruition towards achieving the goal of the church music production.
Right. We should play as a unit and not to play for ourselves. We should be prepared, and we should expand our vocab. Thank you, Bheka. Thank you. And go to Emmanuel.
Thank you, sir.
Ima, from your perspective, what have you observed in church, and what would you wish to correct? 3 things.
Okay. Well, there are a lot of things I would love to correct in church, but let me pick just 3. Okay. Some of the things I've seen, like over the years, is one of it is this. I see the keyboard player and the bass player playing 2 different progressions. I see the bass player going his own, like there's no communication between both of them. The bass player is playing, for example, playing another different song, playing a song like Lord, I give you my heart, give you my soul. He's playing something else, and the keyboard player is just playing some progression that is not needed for the song. So you see them playing like this, playing apart instead of synchronizing. And then another thing I see again is the drummer playing all the roles. The guy, I think he just learned some roles during the week, and he wants to play all of that. In fact, he'll play it and repeat it, and he'll feel cool, like he's on top of the world. Like he'll just do song. Simple song. Lord, I give you my heart. And he wants to experiment what he learned over the internet, like for real. So then another one I see a lot of singers singing off key. Singers, they sing like, I'm talking about Nigeria now. Sing a lot of harmonies off key, melody, everything off key. So, for me, I think the most important thing for us as a music, let me use music departments now, is that we need to understand that we are supposed to be like one band, one sound. If we can sound as one, it goes a long way. And that's a problem, because we find it difficult to sound as one in churches. Because when you tell the bass player, no, that's not the progression, you'll be like, what's wrong with you? Are you going to be telling me what I know? How long have you been playing this music? You, this small boy that just came yesterday. You understand? and then you tell the drummers, guy, calm down now. You're just rolling too much. It's like, I beg, what's wrong? What's your own? Is it your drums? Are you the one paying me? So I like a lot of times I've had issues with drummers and bass players, because when you tell them, guys, let's approach the song the way it's supposed to be, they see you as a threat. Like, what is he feeling like? Is it because he is this, he is that, and stuff? If we can change a lot of bass players, keyboard player. In fact, another one too is 2 keyboard players playing totally. One keyboard player can be playing the piano, the other person will play an EP. I'm like, what's that? Is that the only thing you guys have on the keyboard? How can you buy an expensive and the only 2 things I hear from you is piano and EP? No. You understand? So if we as musicians learn how to define our roles in a set, I think we'll be fine. If we can define, okay, this person is playing the piano. Okay, as a second keyboard player, I have to look for something to complement what he's playing. As a drummer, since we are a band, we should sound like one. In fact, if you can start that in church, playing in the studio is almost, it's like that. It's like the same thing, because you cannot get to the studio and start playing what you play in church. That's why a lot of church musicians can never, let me not use the word can.
Never, no. They are often not able to. They find it difficult to play in the studio, because you know why? They are used to the environment where, because when you're playing in church, anything goes, you can just play anything and walk away with it. But when you're producing, you're in the studio and you play some things, that the producer, someone like me will tell you, no, stop. You have to get that part. You have to play till you get it. If it's that role, you play. Is it okay? Maybe I don't want to even. I'll come there later. I'll come there. We'll talk about production. We've talked about the fact that the elements that are needed for production to be tight is there, but now you are bringing the issue of the attitude of the individual can even just make production more difficult, because he has a keyboard and that prophetic word you give, piano and piano. God bless you, Ate. Listen to churches entirely. That I don't want to go there. My pianist is right by my side, so I don't want to fight. Let me go to Henry. Henry, from your perspective,
for me, one of the
before you go on, let me just acknowledge Uncle Sidney Cranton. He's one of the senior most people on our land here in Ghana who has really influenced.
Appreciate you, sir.
Thank you so much for coming to join us to listen to young people share our minds. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Henry, you may go on.
Uncle Sid, welcome. So I was saying that one main thing which probably brings some of the problems mentioned earlier by our brothers together has to do with leadership. Music leadership. Here I'm talking mainly about, let's say, the music director. Okay, there's one thing very clear. You can go around anywhere. You can determine the level of music or the quality of music in any church. A lot of times, just try and have a look at or try and get to know who the music director is or whoever is bringing it all together or leading the music. You understand? I believe that it's probably one of the things a lot of churches we all need to work on more and more. Bringing out strong people who can, let's forget about being production minded, but have the vocabulary, understand music. But someone definitely must lead the way. Someone who really understands all these things can put most of these people in check. He would definitely tell the other guy to play some pad or something or anything else to what's his name? Add up to what the pianist is playing. He will to arrange things well. He will to correct harmonies. He will to do what? Even have content when it comes to rehearsal. A lot of people rehearse. Rehearsals go on every day in churches. Okay, sometimes you can sit in a rehearsal. I've had the opportunity of traveling to a lot of choirs, and you realize that even the content of the rehearsal itself depends so much on who knows what and who is bringing what on way. There are a lot of places there's total confusion. The business knows so much from his own area to that person. There's no strong person to bring it all together. So there's a lot of miscommunication, people bringing their egos and all that. And so I think leadership is very important. Every church needs to have someone who should be very serious with studying music very well, getting all the experience to be able to do what? Drive the entire thing. You understand? So the music we do in church, unfortunately, aside, a typical rehearsal, or what do we do in church? There'll probably some hymn we sing. Those who come from Bethany, some hymn we sing. There'll be some praise and worship time. There will be some ministration by the choir, right? And then there'll be so many other unplanned music coming up. Pastor might just read something, so the Holy Ghost will just let someone go off. Right? And you have to follow, right? These things happen. And some of them we are able to prepare for it some way, somehow, like the song we are going to minister. But most choirs spend all the time studying that. So most of the time, it probably comes out quite organized because they're either following some copyright or just, having some arrangements. But generally, you realize that a lot of it has to do with having someone. If you watch a lot of these American gospels, anytime they go off the usual thing they planned, straight away, everyone turns to someone who decides on the progression. Let's go to a 4. Everybody moves to a 4. Let's do a 1 here. Let's hold it here. Let's rise up. If there's some strong leadership, it makes music sound arranged, planned, and sort of as if it's been produced. There's production going on. So I think leadership is key to solve most of the issues we have.
You've spoken my heart. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Uncle Sidney, I know you are listening. Please, at a point, I would unmute your mic. So look out for that so that you can share some of your thoughts. So I'm going to go straight into the questions very soon. So if you have your questions, please get ready. 1 question each, unless we've exhausted it and we have time. And we can take. Okay. So just let's take a spot of music. We'll just be back for music bridge. Awesome.
you so much for organizing this program, and everyone who has spoken. I've really learned a lot. So my question is this, is in two forms. One is having sometimes as a music director, you're working with guys and you're telling them what to do. Some of them feels they know more than you, but when you hear what they play, it doesn't sound as though they know more than you. It just sounds like music jargons and all of that. Then now, then also, I would like to know how to introduce something new, like the trend right now. Every church, right? Every modern day church wants to do. Some they've gone to using just making the music so sweet that everything is deliberate. Everything is so deliberate. So I really want to know how to introduce something new in that light into a church. Thank you.
Okay. So your first question was about what if your musicians pretend to be pros, but when they play, it's nothing. What do you do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I will take the next question from Daniel, and then we'll go into answering the questions, and we'll continue with the question time. Daniel.
Yeah. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. You're welcome to the Music Bridge, and tell us where you are speaking from.
Thank you very much. My name is Daniel, speaking from Ashaman.
I'm speaking from Ashaman.
Okay, please, I would like to. Yeah.
Go ahead. One question, please.
Please, I would like to ask, what do you do when you are a music director in a church and then it happens that you don't have instrumentalists or let's say musicians constant in church? Sorry, they come sometimes and then don't go. And sometimes too, the leadership of the church will expect you to always deliver. So how do I handle something like of that sort?
Please repeat the question. I didn't get it.
Okay. Like, how do you handle, let me put it very well, when let's say you're a music director in church, and then you have musicians not stable in church. Sometimes you prepare for songs, they don't come for the preparation period, but then they come to church. And then here is the case where they are the only ones you have. And sometimes they don't even show up in church. And then the leadership or maybe the heads of the church might be expecting you to deliver. So how do you handle it as a music director?
Okay. Thank you very much. So let me go to my guests to answer. And because of time, if we decide to all speak to one question, we will not leave. So I will share the questions amongst you. Each person will take one and answer. So if I share it and you don't know the question or you don't have it written down, I will help you with the question. So I will go to Henry. Please, Henry, if you can take the last question for us. Unstable musicians, but they are the only ones you have. How do you go about that? And then Emmanuel, you take the issue of how do you introduce new songs, new ideas to the band, to the church. Okay, how do you introduce new idea to the church? And then Bludo, you take when the musicians pretend to be pro, but they are not pro when they play. And Bheka, you will take the question of how to establish discipline in the band. Let's go, Henry.
It's a difficult one. It's a lot comes down to why they are not why they are not committed to being a rehearsal, coming to church and all that. From what you're saying, they come sometimes they don't turn up and all that. Mm-hmm. So I think for a music director, first of all, you want to really get into people. I mean, those are the resources you have. As you want to get into their lives, you want to get a little personal with them. You know what you need, and so you have to do everything possible. Even if you're not a people's person, You need to do that to understand exactly why they're not very interested. For all you know, there might be some external problems you might be able to help.
Right.
Or just you getting to understand what's going on might get the person to be committed. Now, people, you can just get them to be interested in you through very, very small things. You know, it's all down to you actually taking interest in these people, studying them, and getting to know them personally. You know, then the other thing is that it could be that a lot happening is not interesting enough. I mean, that instrumentalists who just go to where it's happening. The moment they feel it's dull and that is going on well, they're not really that interested. Okay, some it probably comes down to money, you know. But you need to find out what it is and find ways to do it to address it. It's so wide; it's difficult to give a particular answer to it. But the other thing too is the fact that, like I was saying, these days we are going to the use of stems, the use of a lot of electronic or digital music, where you can, if you depend on your level of skill and all that, you can actually prepare a lot of material in such a way that people who are available, the music will still go on, or some of the music will still go on. Okay, you know, these days you can have your stems all laid out. What was the stem? It's just a playback of, or a recording, a pre-recording of the exact thing someone plays along a timeline in the song. You know, every song has what the bass playing, for example, keyboard, a singer, a lead singer, a BV, a drummer, and all that. It could be that you don't have a drummer. If you're able to plan your song,
Domo is a worship leader in Ghana. So, and Travis Green is the worship leader. Tasha Cobbs comes there every Sunday. What I mean is that they just play the track and the pastor asks them to worship. And afterwards he goes to preach. So it's serious. Let me go to Bludo. Bludo, your question is my musicians are pretending to be pros. You know, but when they play, it's not working. what are you going to do? And if you have to make them pros, or how are you going to teach them and help them to know what they should do? Yes, please.
Yeah, I think for me, I'll have them play and record them. Then I'll play back the recording for them.
Excellent.
Then the recording won't lie. If they know how to play, it will sound good. If they don't know how to play, and together with them, I'll ask them their opinion of what they think they are hearing. If they are really happy with what they're hearing, then together with them, I'll try and reason with them that there's more room for improvement. Wherever they are, they can get better at what they are doing.
I think every music director.
So first of all, they need to get the feedback of their level or where they are. They need to understand that. Then they can improve from there.
From there. Every director here should also start doing that. Not as a way of arguments. It's what I'm learning is find a way of recording your band from praise and worship to whatever, and always try and play it back and discuss amongst yourself, so that you can always tell that, okay, look, we are getting out of track these days. Thank you for that wisdom. Let me go to Bheka. Establishing discipline in a band. How do you do that? Why do you laugh, Bheka?
No, it's quite a tricky one. I'm using a word tricky because it touches on what Brother Henry touched earlier on. MDs, leadership.
Yes.
Discipline starts with leadership. Yeah. So to instill discipline in a band, you need to be disciplined yourself as an MD. You need to prepare and come to the rehearsal, come to the preparation, what did Daniel call it? Preparation period. Yeah, come to the preparation period ready and come with confidence and be there throughout the timeline of the show. Cue every section. Don't just leave your fellow instrumentalists to go on their own. Cue every section way ahead. If you know that the chorus is coming the next 16 bars, tell them now, in the next 16 bars according to the chorus, or whichever way of communication you can establish, just to make sure that you sound disciplined, you sound together, you fall together at all times. There's nothing as good as, let's say the MD is a bass player like myself. There's nothing as beautiful as falling together with your drummer. If a mistake happens, you know that you go to the same downbeat because you understand one another, because of the discipline that you established while you were preparing. So it starts with you as an MD. You should be disciplined yourself, prepare the music in your private space, and make sure that you don't figure things out when everybody's here. Just make sure that the songs are ready, arrangement guessing, because that will kill you and you'll always sound undisciplined. And you want discipline here. So I think that's the only way you can instill discipline. So you must prepare yourself first before you go face your team. You must be a leader and make sure that you direct and make sure that everyone follows, where the direction that we should go. I think in a nutshell, that's how you can instill discipline. Yeah.
Emmanuel, your question is, how do I introduce something new?
Okay, it's easy. I think when I was the music director, music director for my former church, the thing is this, because if you want to introduce something new and then you want to force it on people, people tend to fight back. So how to introduce new ideas to bring it little by little. First of all, if you're the music director, I think it's something you have to sit down with your pastor and discuss with him. Like, okay, pastor, this is an idea I have. And if your pastor is someone who doesn't, because I know pastors are different from others. If your pastor is someone who doesn't really have time to discuss all of that, you now sit down with your music team, your team, and say, okay, guys, this is what I want us to do. I want us to start infusing this. This is the idea I have. And then when everybody in your team agrees with you, every other thing would come to place. But we also have to put in mind that it is not, you don't have to force it all the time. You must bring it in little by little. Before you know what's happening, everybody start loving the ideas. You understand what I mean? Yeah. So I think that's
little by little, introduce your ideas. If it's a song, for example,
ideas,
the church, for example, let the sound engineer start playing it after church or before church. Find ways.
Exactly.
The Holy Spirit, let him also guide you especially when it comes to new ideas, because you are dealing with.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to Gideon.
Exactly.
Okay, please.
Yeah. I think his brother Emma is touching on the very key point. It's very key that as an MD, you have a strong relationship with your leader, whether it's your pastor or your worship pastor, so that you can, because we don't just lead the church for ourselves. The music is not ours. We keep on following the vision of the church. We keep on following, the pastor's heart. So introducing new things really require us to have a constant communication with our leaders to make sure that we move in the same direction. If you have if you have new ideas that you want to introduce in the church, then you should start by, bringing it up front so that you don't hit everyone by surprise. Oh, what is Bheka
Surprise!
Surprise!
Yeah, that's a very valid point. Yeah, making sure that you move along with the vision of the church, and that's guaranteed that the congregation will move with you.
That will mean that when we've done our best after rehearsal and put out a very nice song, and we are excited because there are about 3 modulations in the song, and the choir did well, and pastor is like, what was that? What was that for? And means that if the pastor didn't understand your language, but you have to understand pastor's language. He doesn't have to come to your level and understand your language. You have to understand his language. Thank you very much. Let's go to Gideon Jones, Edwin Dadson, and Emmanuel Amonu, and we'll take it one after the other. One question, please. Tell us your name and where you are calling. Great. And we go to Gideon.
Yeah.
Hello.
Gideon.
Can you hear me, Pastor?
Yeah, I can hear you. Where are you calling from?
Yes. I'm calling from the Holland, Netherlands.
Okay, great.
Ooh.
Yes.
How you doing? How is the corona? This is the first time we are having a Hollandie. Thank you for joining us.
Corona's calm here. I think now they are opening all the shops and everything, so it's okay. How is it in Ghana?
Okay. Oh, very cool. We have swallowed corona. We have overcome it. It's out.
Okay. I have a question.
Please go ahead with your question.
Sorry, man.
My question is specific about the drums. So it's from Mr. Bludo.
Okay.
It seems like Bludo always knows how to play and when to play everything. And I want to ask, if you can explain something about the dynamics and how we can learn dynamics and how he learned it so that we can take some tips out of it. That's my question.
Okay, so Bludo, that's your question. How did you learn dynamics? How do you apply your dynamics? Thank you. Let's go to thanks for coming on the Music Bridge. We hope you join us every time we come, Wednesdays and Thursdays. Let's go to Jones.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Hi, Jones.
Good evening, Pastor.
Good evening. Tell us where you are speaking from.
I'm calling from Medina, please.
Okay, Medina. Medina, which one? Saudi Arabia or Ghana?
The Ghana Medina. Please.
The Ghana Medina. Okay, thank you.
Right here at your backyard, please. Your backyard.
Let's go ahead with your question.
Okay. Yes, please. My question is not really specifically directed to one person, but I just wanted to know, because of your experience and the experience of the panel in big stages, quote unquote, I want to know how you handle surprises in production. Basically, how you handle surprises. Sometimes when you're on stage, you realize some things don't really go on exactly the way they were planned. I'm not saying you anticipate. Okay, the sound, for instance, let's say the sound, something as basic as the sound. Probably you don't hear yourself properly, or there may be a few fluctuations here and there. I just want to know how you handle situations in such situations. Production.
Thank you, Jones. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Let me go to Edwin Dadson. Pastor Dadson.
Hello, Pastor. Can you hear me?
Pastor Dadson, how are you doing?
We can hear you, sir.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Very well. And yourself?
Very well.
Okay. All right. So I have a question, but before that, I have a little illustration chipping. There's a band, an orchestra band director who is reported or alleged to have stopped the entire orchestra because one little instrument called the piccolo was missing in the arrangement. So he stopped the entire orchestra and said, where at bar 16, the piccolo was supposed to come in, and the piccolo, this little wind instrument, didn't come in. And he stopped everybody and said, there's an important element for the piccolo which is supposed to be in. It is not. So the entire band stops. So then that really gives us an impression of how important every single element, like Henry and the others were alluding to, that every single element of the arrangement is really important. So for some weeks now, I've been trying to dig into orchestra arrangements and understand how they come up with the orchestra.
God bless you, so
compositions and all that. So that's just a tip. My question is, having been an instrumentalist, having been a music director, having been a music pastor, and having been a resident pastor of the church, I see this come up every now and then. If you consider a situation where, in terms of a recording project or an album project or maybe a major concert, there are instances where maybe the music director is looking for a particular and your local guys don't have it. And there are instances where maybe you go out and get maybe a professional or somebody who has what you are looking for as a director to do it. And then after the big concert or something like that, the local band will feel slighted. You know, that they patch me. So they think, nobody will get, like these kind of things, they happen every now and then. So my question is twofold. If you are the director or if you are the person calling the shot, how do you handle such a situation if you have to bring other people in? And then the other part is with the person who has been patched, how are they also able to handle the situation so that they don't just carry resentment and bitterness along the line? That's our question.
Thank you very much. Thank you. If you have been patched, Emmanuel Amonu Neiza.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Hello. Good evening.
Thank you, sir. You're welcome. And tell us where you're speaking from.
I'm calling from Kumasi.
Thank you.
My question is, I've realized that there is this kind of gap between the traditional churches, the Orthodox and then the charismatic churches. I'm in an Orthodox church, and then when I went to the university, I got to know that the charismatic churches, when it comes to music, they've grown. there's that huge development there. But then when you come back to the traditional churches, and then from where I'm coming from, Kumasi, I get to realize that most often people, and I heard Brother Emmanuel talk of most church singers find difficult producing music. So I would like to know how to bridge the gap. If you get to, for example, myself, I sing, but then I'm not a music director and I'm in the church choir. So how do you bridge the gap? How do you get the people to understand that we've moved way past shouting when singing?
Moved way past shouting when singing. Oh, okay. I think I get you. As in the singer is not singing, he's making noise, but he thinks he's singing.
Exactly.
Oh, so you mean the traditional churches, that is what is there?
Most often, especially when you come to Kumasi, we see that most often. When there's praise, worship, people are always mostly making noise, but then they feel they are singing. How do you get them to understand?
I just hope that your community friends will not identify you after this. they will say that you didn't represent them well at all. You came to disgrace them. But I know what you're talking about too.
Yeah, so.
Okay, Amonu, thank you so much. Let's go to our panelists for the answers, and we'll come back to the board for questions, some more questions. So stick and stay. Thank you. So I will again, Bludo, you have your question already, but you can top up for one question answered by any of the panelists. So question 2, how do you handle surprises on stage? I'll give it to how do you call it, Bheka. And bringing in pro when local band is not meeting the need. I'll give it to Henry. And then traditional churches, and how traditional churches go to how traditional churches can upgrade themselves. Brother Ima will help us to understand that as a music director. Okay, Bludo, the first question.
Yeah, when it comes to dynamics, as a drummer, you don't have to think just about your instrument or the drum. You are part of a big picture, which is the whole music. So when it comes to dynamics, you need to pay attention to what is happening in terms of the structure of the song. We are moving from verse to chorus to bridge to other parts of the song. So you have to observe the changes that are going on in the various parts of the song. Where you need to give it more energy, you need to do that. Where you need to tone down, you need to do that, sorry. And when it comes to working with different musicians and different artists, every artist and their preference in terms of you being playing much or being laid back. Maybe that's not the right word to use, but there are some artists that don't want you as a drummer to be overactive in the song. And there are other artists that will require you to do more as a drummer. So you have to study at which time who you're working for. And you need to strike the balance of what to do, because at the end of the day, it's not about you. You are there to be part of the big picture of what is going on. And if you, for instance, are working in a studio and you have a producer, you need to, as a drummer, interpret what he has in his mind. That's the way you're going to be called on the next session. I mean, if you can't execute well what the producer has in his mind.
Please, can you re-emphasize that point again?
Yeah, I'm saying that as a musician and as a drummer, you need to be able to get into the mind of the producer and be able to reproduce the picture of what he wants you to do. That's what will get you called up for the next gig.
Bludo.
Emmanuel.
Okay, so I can go to my next question. How to handle surprises on stage. Sound goes bad, things don't go well. Bheka?
Yeah, I think the first point would be there's always a solution to any problem. So
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the solution lies with the person in charge. It lies with leadership as well at that specific point in time. So technical surprises happen every day. You go to sound check, everything is smooth, and all of a sudden during the show things change. And how does the MD or the producer handle the situation at a time? I think it's up to him to use wisdom at that specific point in time, depending on at what level the show is and which song it is. He can probably just communicate, okay, band, just give me that pedal, just don't move from that point until we get this sound issue sorted. So it needs the MD to be proactive, to think ahead all the time. If anyone has a problem right there, you must think of a solution. It's okay, cool. If you can't hear yourself, let's hold on. I'll communicate with the engineers, and then we'll get back to you, in a moment. So, but you can't keep everyone waiting. The audience is there watching the show. The congregation is here, expecting that praise and worship goes on rather. So it's up to you as the MD to say, okay, wait, okay, cool. Just repeat this verse, repeat this chorus until we get things sorted. So the solution lies with the director, lies with the leader of the moment. So I think that's the
I think one of the things that I'm learning here is so critical to have a coordinator or a leader whilst the band is playing, because if that is not clear, who we take the final instruction from can save the day and can make the day. That's what you're saying.
Definitely. Yeah. There must be a decision maker at the end of the day.
Thank you.
Otherwise, we'll all be wondering and not knowing what to do. Yeah.
Exactly. I hope your question has been answered, sir. The third question is bringing in a pro when local band is not meeting the need. As for that one, Henry has done it several times. I mean, Henry has brought who is who to his church. When you go to Henry's church, you understand everybody has been on that stage because of Henry. And I love the fact that you wouldn't see the other guys, the church members who play offended. They are around, they are serving the other guys very well. And it's like, what kind of meeting do you have with them before you bring this guy? Whereas in some places, if you are bringing other guys, you're on your own, you're on your own. People will they will not mind you. So how do you do that? First of all, how do you handle talking to the guys you are about to drop and the guys you're about to, as for the guys you're about to bring on, it's okay. But how do you handle those guys you are not going to use? We have been playing this song, Yesue Jodade, and we are now coming to record. We've been playing for the church to dance. When we just said we're about to record, you patched us and went for some people. So how do we handle that?
Okay, Okay, there are a few things I've been thinking about. You see, the first thing is that I think generally musicians have a lot of ego for some reason, I don't know. But most people always have a higher sense of what they think they can do than the actual. Okay, everybody feels like a superhero in their own world, and for me, I think it's very important. Leadership gets to get everyone to really appreciate where they are. Okay, where they are along the ladder. Let me put it that way. In terms of skill, in terms of understanding of what they are doing, in terms of production and all that, in terms of experience and all that. My choir was some sing-along choir those times. Okay. I had to get them to, first of all, see the vision. I mean, I can carry the whole choir to a concert, just go and sit and watch, listen, learn, and come back and all that. And I felt it was just to get them to appreciate the fact that there's a place I need to get to. And I am here. Once you appreciate that, you're ready to learn, you're ready to network with whoever just to get there. You see? And so once you do that, it's easy to get them to appreciate the fact that, look, there's this concert coming up, or there's this production coming up, which is this. We need this level of quality, we need this level of play, blah, 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 blah. I think we are not there yet. You understand? Fine. There's always the need to also appreciate the fact that the production is bigger than our individual egos. You see, the production of what's at stake is bigger. It's for posterity. I mean, all these songs recorded, it's forever, and we all want it to be done nicely. It's far bigger than I want to play beats, I want to be seen playing beats, or anything like that. Right. Then it means you're just trying to project yourself. It's not really about, you're not interested in the good of the music. So you know you cannot do that, and yet you're just into yourself. So once you get them to appreciate some of these things, they know their place. Okay. The next thing is that you have to find a very nice way of getting people to be friends. Okay. So Prince Senna and my business, they are friends. It's not an issue of Prince Senna and some stranger coming in. You have to find a way of nicely doing it, because we are human. And so these things can happen. And then the last thing is, I think sometimes if you can create some blend in there, okay. I mean, it's a long night. There should be one or two things that your band can do. Trust me, for some people, once they can come on once or twice, they're fine. So it's about how to combine both, because whether you like it or not, when everyone is gone, you're with them. And that's when they'll tell you that, Charlie, you think I can't play this? Why do you want me to play here and then? But the reality is that people need to know where the
levels they are.
They should be ready to rather want to learn more. And my church, I mean, we are always trying to learn more from singers to whoever. We are excited when people come in because of that understanding, which I still think the leader needs to be able to push down. Then it should work. And then we have a good production. We are happy. In fact, most of the time, it's always to the choir or the group. It's not to that individual who even came in to help, you know. So
I'll even employ Bludo's strategy again. Try and record them,
let them listen,
and record the other band and play. Let them understand what you are looking out for. Easy, and it helps them to understand.
It doesn't make you worse off. You see, you are good. You play what you play, but you have a place, and there's something we are trying to do. Based on what we are trying to do, others could do it better. That's the whole idea.
Yeah.
It's not an issue of you're not a good instrument or anything. It's about what's at stake. That's all.
Ima, let's go to the question of upgrading a traditional church instrumentalist to a higher or a better level. What is modern now? How do you do that? Maybe a 3-step or 2, you know.
Okay, simple. I think the first question I need to, or first thing I need to say is this: how do they really want to improve? I mean, the guys in the Orthodox Church, because the thing is, I've been to some Orthodox churches where the musicians there are okay with just for example. In our churches here, a lot of our churches here use a lot of our Orthodox churches here use pipe organs and stuff. And then the elders in the church would prefer paying the guys that plays the pipe organ, like pay them well, far better than those that play the drums and all those stuff. They don't even bother or care about those other people. So the question I keep asking is, how interested are they to improve? Do they really want to improve? If yes, okay, simple. Take them out, take them to concerts, take them to other churches to see how those guys synergize, how they play together. You understand? That's the first miracle. Once you can get other guys to see, okay, guys, we need to improve. That's number one miracle. Then another thing is this: getting the right instrument, the right equipment, changing what they have, that boils down to the leadership of the church. If they would really want to buy the idea or not. Because the thing is, you cannot get an instrument to force them to buy an instrument in church, like try to upgrade their instrument. If don't see anything good at that. So if the leadership likes the idea, fine, they'll buy it. And then another thing is this: the guys have to sit up, meaning the guys have to practice. They have to get on YouTube. Persons, they have to improve, because the thing is we are growing. It's like 5 fingers. I cannot do anything. I cannot hold something well without this. If this one is missing, it's a problem. If this one is missing, so all of them work together. Not that they can't work separately, they can, but the thing is we have to improve together, no matter how your level is. I can be this, you can be this, the other person can be this. Doesn't mean that we can't improve together. We have to put our heads together. We have to tell ourselves, okay, guys, we need to improve. We have to sound like these Americans. We have to sound like this. Listen to Fred Hammond. We have to score them. We have to do like this. We have to do like that. And then, because the thing is, people want to see that you guys are improving before they can invest anything in the department. People want to see something first. So if you're telling the church people to improve the equipment or to upgrade and stuff, they need to see that you guys are serious about it. You understand? Because no church wants to just spend money buying what is not. Imagine. Thank you. Wow. A few words.
Wow. Improvement breeds investment. Anybody who is improving himself, definitely somebody who wants to sow seeds. I'm sure Bludo, the drum sitting behind Bludo is either a seed because of his investment. I suspect the earpiece that Bheka is using is either a seed because of his improvement, but the idea is that improvement would always, we cannot easily deny investment. Thank you. Let's go to the line. On the next set of questions, I would ask Pastor Uncle Sydney. We call him Uncle, but he's somebody who has invested into my life. He's somebody who is always checking me out when I go wrong. We will ask him to also speak to. So I will take 5 questions in that case so that you take the 5th one. Uncle Sydney, so please stand by. Whilst I get ready to ask the 5 people to ask us questions, I just want to alert you that we'll close at 9:30 exactly. So I will push that we answer the questions quickly. God willing, next week our guest will be dealing with a topic. That's Wednesday. We'll be having Denzel Ajuman, and we would also have Onos Ariyo from Nigeria. Denzel from Ghana, but Denzel is based in America now. Onos Ariyo, we know Onos in Nigeria, and we'll have Godwin Omigele. I hope I pronounce the word well. Omigele is in South Africa. He's known for the song Winner Man. When you see me dance, I dance like a winner man. He'll be here. And what's going to be the topic? The topic is, I prefer worship to praise. I prefer worship to praise. I think praises is not cut out for me. It's so important because I know every worship leader would want to hear what that means. That means that there are some people who tell us that they are cut out for worship. Anything praise, they are not cut out for it. And so we would want to understand what praises is for. What is praises? And then on Thursday, we would have Gerard Farrell. Gerard Farrell is the husband of Mabongi Mabaso. and Kwesi Otin from Ghana, Mabongi Jerafero from South Africa, Kwesi Otin from Ghana, and Gloria Brima from a Nigerian based in the UK, and we are discussing songwriting. So this is going to be an interesting one. Make sure you are here with your team and yourself and every other group. Let me go to Daniel's iPhone, if I got it right.
Yeah.
Hi, sir. Welcome.
Good evening to you, and good evening to the panel members. My question is about percussionists, right?
Your question is about percussion. Is that what
percussionist? Yes, very well. Because I realized in Ghana, most of production houses and other stuff relegate percussionists to the background. Let's say even if the terrorists are recording, they will prefer using the computers to set up the percussion stones and stuff without in a percussionist to do the live stuff. So it's like percussionists are not that appreciated in Ghana. You know?
Okay. I think your question is clear. So percussionists, their role and importance in production. Thank you. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Benjamin Gatti, thanks. I didn't ask where you were speaking from. Okay, but he's gone. Okay. But Benjamin Gatti.
Hello, Pastor.
Hi, Benjamin. Welcome to the Music Bridge. Tell us where you are speaking from.
Okay, I'm speaking from Takrady.
Great.
Yes.
One question, sir.
Okay. So I'm in a church where the leadership doesn't really place priority on instruments and stuff. Okay. They have this notion that once it's on and we can hear the sound from it, it's fine. But I'm playing on a drum kit. I'm a drummer. I'm playing on a drum kit that's about 10 years old, needing like replacement, but I'm not getting it. My question is, how do we get the church leadership to focus or agree to upgrading the production elements, not just the instruments, but then other production elements, the sound, the speakers and all that? How do we get that done? Yes.
Thank you very much. Very good question. Okay, let's go to Benjamin. Is that Joseph Amwa? Joseph Amwa.
Yes, thank you, Osofo. I think my question is probably a top-up to the last question person asked, especially in this area where we use loops and stems and stuff like that. Its success depends largely on, for instance, good monitoring systems. So sometimes you have an arranged, piece of music. You are trying to infuse the loops. The drummer is not hearing it well. Sometimes even the people on the stage, they are not hearing. And so it appears as if, it's not working, but it's basically because maybe the setup or the system is not built well enough. So in that instance, do you say, let's just do away with the loops? And then in that case, how do we even improve? How do we get used to it? And so that's just my question.
Thank you. Let's go to T. Dadson. Hello.
T. Dadson.
Have we unmuted him? Hello.
Yes.
What's T. Dadson?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Please, your full name?
Thelma?
Dauma.
No, Thelma. Thelma.
Okay. Thelma Dadson.
Yes.
Okay, that means you're my sister, right? I'm Dadson.
Yes, I know. You actually do know my in-laws. I'm Sylvia Dadson. That's you more. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. That's Henry. Okay, that's nice. Okay.
I'm calling from Chicago, Illinois.
Chicago.
And
great.
Yeah.
All right.
So my question is about music directors learning, or a church having somebody learn something about music. So I wanted to ask, what are some of the things you'd recommend for a church that has music director and musicians, but not anybody at all learning anything specifically about music? What would you advise them to learn? Maybe some top 3 or 5 things that is very important for somebody to know in music. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much, Fox. I'll go to the 5th question. I'll take it from Galaxy S9. Galaxy S.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, yeah, so this is Francis. Francis Dadson. So.
Hey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yasheda.
We know, right? That's why
Anyway,
you calling from.
Thanks for calling from Chicago.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Thanks for having us. You've been a blessing to us. So we've been listening to you from all your sessions. So thank you so much. My question is, we started talking about preparedness and production and all about that. And then we're saying that, when we have production, songs are supposed to be prepared in advance. And then production is also about planning. So where do we give the Holy Spirit the chance to do stuff, And my question specifically goes to you, Pastor Edwin, because I know you lead your team in ICGC. So how do you incorporate, let's say, for example, if you
arrangements flow.
Yeah, how do you let things flow? Let's say you didn't even rehearse a certain song, but you get on stage on Sunday, and then based on the atmosphere, based on the Holy Spirit leading you, you're led to sing that particular song without it being rehearsed or anything. How do you infuse that into, let's say, that morning service or something like that?
Okay. Thank you very much for asking. So the question on percussion will go to Bludo, and then how to get leadership to appreciate production element. I'll give it to Henry. When gadgets are poor, what do you do? Close to Henry's question, I want Emmanuel to speak to that. Recommendation for music director to learn, Bheka, and then if there is any other pastor here, you can speak to the last question. How do you make songs flow? I think maybe myself and Pastor Uncle Sidney will speak to that one. So let's take it off from the first question. Bludo, percussion.
Yeah.
But do you feel that percussionists are being, are not giving prominence? Do you think so?
Yeah, I think in a way, I think it's all based on their attitude towards the whole music, because as a percussionist, if you show up with just the congas, no shakers, you don't have a lot of, sounds to add to what is going on, then it means you're handicapped. Then we would rather have loops and stuff play than have you play, because if you're playing a ballad, for instance, you can't be playing your congas all the time through the music. And I think most percussion players also don't pay attention to the general music being done. It's like the arrangement of the music, it's like they're just playing freestyle in the music. And it's like they don't have any structure to it. I believe if they start getting their equipment right, they start getting structure, and they start to, engage the music director or whoever is in charge to find out how they can fit into the music, then they become relevant to what is going on, than just to be ready to play at any point in time without any structure. Then it's like they are interrupting whatever is going on in the music.
I think sometimes percussionists and Daniel, I mean, I understand how you feel. But sometimes they when serious discussion is going on about, okay, there is a mistake here, and how should the song go? Oh, they are tuned off. I mean, whichever way you
go, they are not concerned about what
they will just play. So sometimes I think that they just have to step up. Nobody is relegating percussionists. I think what you are saying is that you can become relevant. There are others who are very, very relevant, and people are using them here and there. So, like you are saying, imagine we call you percussionist, and here you are with your Uber. We think it's the keyboardist who is coming. No, but the Uber, the back of the Uber enters the premise, and here are all the gadgets. Like, oh, really? And you're a serious percussionist, then I'll take you for any concert. But if you don't come with any percussive instrument, and you just come and play two congas, then I think that you relegate yourself. Thank you for saying that.
And then we should understand that percussion is an instrument which has to also be played according to plan. I think that's what, because I mean, there are lots of gigs that even what they play is chord. I mean, because it adds to the loops, and I mean, it's more like a loop in a way. It does something, and so it goes according to plan. And every percussion should start thinking about, how can I approach, like you were saying, how can I approach music with a plan? And so every type of music, even if it doesn't give you anything to do, you sit down and try and understand where you can fit in well. Get your always see that you're actually adding value to the music, and you'll start seeing it in a different light.
Ima, let me go to Ima for when gadgets are poor. What do you do? Like the way I smile.
I don't know what to do. Okay, when gadgets are poor, I don't know what to say. Okay, when gadgets are poor, you manage it. I don't know. You have to just manage it.
It's a big problem. It's a big problem.
Okay. There was a guy that was talking about using loop and something about the loop not working or something.
Yeah, you're trying to use the loop, but you're not getting it. So it ends up impeding the production you really want to do. That. So that's what I mean.
Okay, let me just say this. There was a time I introduced, like, how many? That was like 2009 or 10 or thereabout. I can't remember. I introduced loop in church. We connected the loop system to the front of house. We had rehearsed and everything. It was time for us to play the song with the loop. The engineer muted the loop track, and we were all giving him signal, unmute the loop for like 5 minutes. We had to do without the loop. The next time, what we did was to find another way to control the loop ourselves. So what I did was I connected the loop to my Motive keyboard because Motive, you can actually play out a sound from another keyboard or something. So I connected the loop to my Motive, and then I brought my headphone amplifier. I gave it to the drummer so that he can listen to the click and stay on time. And then played it from my keyboard and was controlling the volume of the loop from my laptop, from my sound card and stuff. And problem was solved. So the engineer could hear the keyboard and hear the loop at the same time. So he cannot mute the loop whenever, because engineers can be very funny too. They just feel, this is what I want, this is how my sound should be. Forgetting that you're only there to serve a purpose. And they want to either mute the loop. For example, some of our engineers in Nigeria, they'll mute the loop, and then you tell them, what happened?
And they'll pretend like they don't know. Oh,
yes. They'll pretend like they say, I don't know. Look at the line. It's on. But they know what they did. So that's the thing. You have to, when they, let me give you another example. I've gone to churches where they have very extremely bad equipment, and then you cannot tell them, oh no, if it is not motive, I can't play. When you're there to do a ministry work, you have to just make use of what you have. You understand? Make use of what you have, and then do your job, and then leave. That's it.
The best out of work.
Yeah. So we have to know how to manage bad instruments, bad sound, and get the work done. You can hold a discussion after, be gradual about it. Also, find ways of inverting or find your own ways of getting how you can play certain things if the sound engineer is not cooperating. Let me go to Bheka for the question of recommendation for music director to learn. What are the things you would recommend for a music director? Like about 3 things you would recommend that an upcoming music director must learn to improve himself or herself.
Basics of the basics. I think I would recommend basic music elements. They should just learn what rhythm is. Simple stuff like a beat, tempo, syncopation, what that is. Dynamics, they should know what dynamics is. This doesn't only apply to music directors, but everyone in the choir or in the worship team. They should understand what melody is. They should know what the pitch is. They should know what the theme of the song is. They should also know just music ornaments on how to, somebody mentioned flow of the Holy Spirit. So this would be part of that ornament, how you improvise, how you sing a song spontaneously based on the moment you're in at that very specific moment, assuming that you are guided by the Holy Spirit. Another thing would be harmony. They should understand what harmony is. They should understand harmonically what chord progressions are, moving from one chord to another to make harmonic sense, and making sure that the interpretation is perfect and delivered, with a great presentation. They should understand, for singers, should understand tone color. Actually, not singers only, tone color. Even bass players should know how to tone their basses so that they cut through the mix. They shouldn't only rely on the engineers at the back to tone their bass guitars. They should know which elements to make sure that the bass tone is balanced. This applies for guitars, for vocalists, how to tone their voices. Texture. They should know actually how their voice textures should sound when they're backing or they're leading. Because that's very key. You can't just shout, as you are backing. You should know how to blend with the rest of everyone who's singing, in the choir backing. As a band, you also should know how your texture should be. You should know how to interpret verses. You should know how to interpret choruses, and you should know how to grow the song to the climax. And I think those are the basic things that they should start learning, and also just the form of the song. Because they cannot just sing all over. They should know at least that the structure of the song. Okay, we sing 3 verses. Okay, 4 verses, and then we go to the chorus. Not just verse chorus every now and then. Depending on the form that is planned for that specific song and for that specific praise and worship segment. I think those are the basic things they should learn at this point.
Thelma, I think he's giving you an overdose of what you asked for, just 5. He's giving you more than 5. So I hope you got them. If you did not, when we post the video, make sure that you go to that part and write it all over, ornaments and melodies and all those stuff. Thank you for
vocalists should learn software notations if they can.
Software notations, Henry is.
Oh, yes.
Very much. Henry, the question was about church leadership appreciating production elements, and how do you get your church leadership to I'm asking this because you are a very great influence in your church in what they buy and they listen to. How do you manage to for information, in Henry's church they have property committees, and nothing goes out without the property. A whole property. So when that mic behind Bludo has to go, it goes all the way to the committee of properties, or it comes out of the church auditorium. Henry, how do you manage to your leadership to appreciate production elements and the gadgets that will help production?
No, I think it goes hand in hand. But first of all, we need to appreciate the fact that someone finances the things we have. The church, most of the time, they bring the money for us to go to acquire the stuff. And anyone who brings up money wants to appreciate the reason why he has to spend on that. Most of the time, leadership, they can't tell the difference between a motif and or the PSR, a PSR 70. The piano sound is the same, and so I think it's quite a political thing. You need to be very close to leadership, the church leadership. You need to always be in touch with them, get them to know what's going on. In fact, my kids, I even try to find times that we meet with pastor, let's say the head pastor or something, just talk about music, get them to know what's going on, get them interested in the choir. Sometimes you even get them to come around to speak to the choir, but you're just trying to get them interested in such a way that when you bring things up, they are ready to go by it. Then the other thing is that there's still an element of trust. When you tell them this thing is needed, they already trust that you know what you're talking about based on past happenings. It means that the little they do for you, you have to maximize it in such a way that they actually appreciate it and they actually see the difference it made. And so when you're asking for more, they think it will be possible, and then they can go in for it. When we're going to record the Akpe album, for our church, sadly we needed so much thousands of CDs just to hide tracks and stage and LED systems and so many things. Trust me, they were flying blind. They didn't know what we meant, but they just trusted us because of the past things we had done, the best we could do with the stuff they had given us earlier. And so they were blown away on the day when they realized that all the money yielded something, which I believe is still, impacting so much now. And so it's a give and take. The little you have, make sure you utilize it in such a way that they appreciate it, and then they can always trust to give out money for more. That's all I can say.
Awesome. I'm going to take the last, your last point on production. Maybe think of what are the elements that we should look at for production. I think we're trying to tackle that. And so before we close, I'm going to take your last thought on, from all of you, what should be the elements of production, your last words after that. I'm going to go to Uncle Sydney. Uncle Sydney, if you can kindly unmute your microphone. Hello, Uncle Sydney.
Hello.
Good to have you on the platform.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
A great job. Yep.
So, Uncle Sydney, I know you've been a drummer for long, but you are a man who speaks to many musicians with a platform of Asaf Corner, and you understand flow a lot in how the spirit leads. So could you share your thought on how to make songs flow when you are leading worship?
Okay, thanks for the opportunity, Edwin. And I'm not a frontline person like you are, but at least from the back, I can share something. These things about flow don't come overnight. It's a thing of discipline. From where I come from, it's a mind thing. You really should know what you're about. I've been listening to all that we are doing, and it's great. But I see, I wanted to drop a point, and it's all about the flow. Musicians must learn to connect with the people they are ministering to. It's not about you alone. A lot of us, most times, don't learn to connect with our audiences. So they think, well, because we are the band, it's just the person up front who should connect. But I tell you, from behind your instrument, fix your eyes, connect with the audience, connect with the congregation. There's a flow between the two of you. You are connecting. There are some vibes. Let me use the term. There are some vibes that are flowing from you to the congregation, and you must learn to connect. That is the beginning of flow. Okay, because for you to flow, fine. We're talking about the Holy Spirit at work and everything. The Holy Spirit. Work through us to the congregation. And I've always seen it as a two-way thing. Sometimes, if you can connect with the people, you can have a sense of what they need, so that you can switch to provide that need. And it's easier when you've had. It's also a thing of discipline. So anytime you go on stage, it's important to have that mindset that you are ministering to people. You are ministering to people. It's not about you alone. And it's when you have, and now after downloading, we are talking about the practical things of doing. That's what I'm saying. It's a discipline. You know that anything can happen. Now you are not working alone as the worship leader. You are not working alone. You are working with a team of people. You can't flow alone if they don't flow. So you need to get your team members, both the band and the singers, to have that same mindset. You should be prepared to lay down what you've done if the Lord is asking us to do this. It's a mindset. Egos, I heard Henry talking about ego. You have to be prepared to let those things go. And some of those things are sometimes it gets to a place where you should be prepared not to do the song that you spent hours to rehearse. You should be prepared not to do it if the Lord is saying that don't do it. That is also flow. Now that takes a lot of discipline, a lot of humility, a lot of brokenness, that after all this that I've put in, I don't have to do it, but that's where it starts. So I'm saying that it's a mindset. And when you develop it, now it gets to a place where I'm just trying to get.
Sorry, I think the network is bumpy over there.
Putting together. You see, this music skill that we have, it's like you infecting the flow. Your gifting should become second.
Great points from Uncle Sidney, but I think we are having a problem with the network. So, but Uncle Sidney is going to come on sometime on the music bridge, so that we can draw a lot from his experience. Thank you very much, Uncle Sidney. When it comes to leading worship, I think we are wrapping up, and I'll go to my panelists to give us their last words. When it comes to flow, I see flow as two pipe ends opening. If I open and it must flow and go somewhere, and the other person who must receive does not open, it becomes difficult for there to be a flow. So I think that when I am standing on stage and I'm singing the song, I'm looking at the reception, of the song. And trust you me, I think it was yesterday's meeting that I mentioned that when you are leading people, don't forget that people have personalities. And when they are standing there, they are spiritual, but their personality is what you are going to see. Some people will never sing. Some people will sing very loud. Some people will just be looking because of their personality. But you are leading all this personality to Christ. But you must, first of all, have the flow of the Spirit in you. But once you are dishing it out, it's not going to come out as you feel in you. It's going to be different because you are dealing with different people. So you dish it gradually, you dish it, and as they are responding, you know how much you can now release it. If you start a service and you are on quantum level 10 and they are now picking up, you are on your own. They will not mind you and they will tune off. So how you can come up and rise up with them would help flow in worship. And again, how do you know when to turn down the song and bring the other song? You are listening to your spirit. You are looking at what you have rehearsed. Everything is when you see that all the flags are ready from the band to the singers and from the congregation. Now you say, okay, now let's switch to this song. But you don't just throw in the song without watching. It's like driving and not watching whether there are people on the way or not. So these are the things that help with flow. We will talk about that later, God willing. If you have some topics that you feel would help in discussion, you can just go to the chat button and please give us your thought about what you wish we would discuss on the music bridge, so we can get experts to come and speak, God willing. Let me go to Mr. Bheka in Tetua, your last words, and I go to Emmanuel, I'll come to Bludo, and I'll go to Harry for your last words.
My last words, thank you so much, Pastor Edwin, for the platform. And thanks to my brothers who were in the panel and everybody who tuned in. Thanks for making a moment. Thank you for making sure that this becomes a reality. So from me to you, let's just keep on pushing for excellence. And let's remember that excellence doesn't mean perfection, because no one is perfect, only God is. Excellence means that we do our best. It means that we keep on, trying our best and making sure that everything that we do to the utmost of our strength. And then we should just keep on, trusting God and keep on flowing, keep on being patient with ourselves. The topic was developing a mindset. And the word developing means that, it's not something that is developed. There's a difference between something that is established, something that is developed, and something that is developing. And I believe there's a lot of work in the development process than maintaining something that is already disciplined, rather something that is already developed. So just be patient with yourself and just make sure that you are patient with the church environment, because it's a very tricky environment. I'm saying tricky because, it's very sacred. It's godly. So before we can do anything, we must make sure that our hearts are aligned with what God wants, and then we will just flow, and we'll just grow from strength to strength and glory to glory. So thank you so much.
You're welcome, my brother. Let me go to Ima.
Oh, I forgot to say Nyamishra.
Oh, Nyamishra also. That's big guy. Okay, Emmanuel. I think his mic has been muted. Okay. Sorry.
Okay, last word. First of all, let me say thank you, Pastor Edwin. I know I'm giving you a song, which I have to try to finish that. Okay, My last word is this. For every musician, music director, music pastor and everything, and everybody, every orchestra instrument, I think the most important thing, or the most important person we should seek after is the Holy Spirit, because of guidance and stuff. Do you know this word that they say? We pray, when you pray in unknown tongues, we pray mysteries, and the Holy Spirit intercede on our behalf. Since we work in the church, since we do stuff in the house of God, it would be right for us to really know the person of the Holy Spirit, because the Holy Spirit will guide us, teach us, tell us what to do and what not to do, tell us how to solve problems. In fact, sometimes the Holy Spirit will tell you about a problem before it even happens. So when we get to fall in love with the Holy Spirit, He will teach us: is it crazy chord? Is it crazy idea? In fact, He will tell you to go to a particular album, listen to this album, and then you listen to it, you grab something and you're like, oh, wow, thank you, Holy Spirit. And then you try to infuse it in your playing. He teaches you all things. So when we fall in love and try to know the person of the Holy Spirit, every other thing, secondary. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this idea. Mr. Bludo.
Yeah, Pastor Edwin, thanks for having me, and thanks to my big Ben as well. Yeah, I think for a church musician, the first thing I would say is that you should know you're not working for your pastor or your MD. You're working for God, and therefore God deserves your best. You need to invest in what you're doing, your craft, and same as the pastor is feeding the flock, you are also involved in feeding God's people musically with the word being preached in the form of songs. So you should attach that seriousness to it, and you should also know that in every point in time in the service, your work is to make sure through your instrument you create the right atmosphere for the congregants to worship and not distract them from worshiping with your instrument.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, just when I was itching for more, you stopped. You have a way of getting that to me. It's like he's about to say another thing. I think it shows on the steadiness you play. It's like, oh, you think you just play more than he doesn't. Harry, okay, your last thoughts.
All right. Yeah. I'll recap the main elements of production and then we. Okay. So I see it in three parts. Like I mentioned earlier, we have the musical elements, the process, and the resources. Okay. Then for the elements, we're looking at rhythm, dynamics, melody, harmony, things like the tone, how warm or harsh the music is, texture, the form of the music. When it comes to the processes, we're looking at, first of all, for a typical song, having that inspiration or creating the concept for the song, the composition itself, then down to the arrangements, both the vocal arrangements, the instrumentation as well, the way you want to arrange it, then the playing itself or the recording or the tracking itself, and then most importantly, the sound, the outputs of what's coming out and how it all comes together. And for the resources, as usual, it's down to leads or singers, the band, the sound again, then the communication systems you have to want to make things work. It's a resource. And then most importantly, leadership. Leadership is a very important thing to make production what it should be. Thank you very much for having me on. God bless you.
Harry, I can't say much. Thank you so much for your graciousness to have accepted this invitation to be a blessing to people, on this platform. Thank you. Henry, once again, is the music director of Bethel Revival and someone who has done many productions in concerts. Thank you for sharing your ideas. Emmanuel Bludo Jr. is a drummer, a world-class drummer. He speaks shortly as he plays steadily. and Bheka is somebody, one of the guys I've come to really love. If not for Corona, I'm sure I would have visited him this year. There's something that I study about you. The same way, if you want to know somebody who is disciplined, I look at you a lot. You listen. You listen a lot before you say something, and when you say it, it's like, that is it. And I can almost imagine you at a rehearsal. I have brought Bheka to come and play at my concert and at rehearsal. He's there for the rehearsal, so he's just there listening to everything that we will say, and he plays and he goes. And sometimes you have instrumentalist professionals. They will come and on their phone, they are doing ABC, they are doing before you will give all the announcement. You have to beg them to start to play, that kind of thing. And I thank you for setting that example. I see that in you. Emmanuel, thank you for I know the time difference with you and Bheka is like, Bheka is almost 12 midnight, and Ima, it's almost 11 for you. And thank you. I see that you are in the studio. Please work on my song whilst you are there before you close today. Finish it before you close. But thank you. Emmanuel is working on a song that is coming out. Myself, Pastor Nathaniel, and Intokozo. It's an amazing song, and we've been working on it, waiting for it. Ima, thank you for your humility. Thank you for teaching us how to be sensitive to the Holy Spirit. Indeed, it's obvious that that's what you do behind your keyboards. And you taught us about being convergent instead of being divergent in playing, and not being too experimental when we are playing, Thank you, guys. And for all my participants, thank you for staying. Today, we've gone beyond our time. For those who couldn't ask the question, there will be another time for you to ask again. Just make sure that when we share the flyers, you also share it and share it and share it. Let people learn from this platform. Once again, I want to thank Uncle Sidney for shortly passing through to share his thought on flow. Just want to remind you that God willing, next week, Wednesday, we do the music break on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Like I said yesterday, we'll be going on TV very soon on Praise TV. And we are still going to keep this class going on. Next week, Wednesday, we are talking about praises. And the question is, should I prefer worship over praises or prefer praises over worship? Which one should be the priority? And our guests will be Onos Ariyo from Nigeria, Denzel Ajiman from US Ghana, and Godwin Omigele of Winner Manfe. And on Thursday, we'll go to a technical part of writing songs. We have Gerald Farrow, Kwesi Otin, and Gloria Bryman from UK, Kwesi Otin from Ghana, and Farrow from South Africa. We are dealing with songwriting. It's going to be a good time. Remember, like I always say, when the lockdown is over and the ban is lifted, your pastor will not forgive you if you come and do the same old things you have been doing. That's why you have to apply yourself in learning now. So this platform is for you to orient yourself and get ready for what God will do. I trust that God has given you a gift. He trusts you, and you must trust yourself that you will always become better. It's been a nice time tonight. Thank you, and God bless you. We'll see you sometime next